What's up, future officers? My name is Tejas, and I welcome you to this brand new episode of iLead. Today, we are discussing this very important topic for the examination. What is the topic? It is minimum support price. Okay, so minimum support price, very, very important topic. Questions have already been asked on this particular topic. So, before we begin the entire discussion about the minimum support price, let's try to understand the concept first. Now, imagine a farmer. Let's say his name is Tejas. Now, Tejas is growing food grains. Okay, let's say Tejas is growing rice. Now, after growing rice and after harvesting, what are the options available to him? He has to obviously sell it. That is how he can monetize his harvest. But what are the options available to him? Who is going to procure it? See, he has two options. The first thing is that he can go and sell it to the government. And then second one is he can even sell it outside. That is, he can go and sell it in the private market as well. The government basically tells that Tejas, I am going to procure your rice at, let's say, for example, 30 rupees. Okay, 30 rupees I'm going to procure. So, this price is something which I have come up with after a lot of formula, and this is to support you. If in case anybody is willing to buy a rice at a higher price than what I am offering, you are free to go and sell it to the private player. Okay, so this is mainly intentionally done to support the farmers. It is mainly to give them some kind of a minimum support price so that they end up selling it, okay, to the government, and it's basically to help the farmers, okay, have this stability here. So what exactly is MSP now? MSP is that floor price which the government procures. Floor price as in it is the minimum least price which the farmer has to procure. That is assured. This particular amount is assured to him. He's 100% going to get it. If he's going to get anything lesser, he will sell it to the government only. Okay. So MSP is that floor price at which the government procures the harvest from the farmers. Okay. So next question comes, sir. Okay, fine. We have understood the concept of MSP, but please tell us, after buying it from the farmer, then what happens to those food grains? Who is that agency who's procuring it? See, it is procured by this organization called as FCI. Okay, so FCI, it stands for Food Corporation of India. Okay, very important organization. FCI, Food Corporation of India, is the agency who procures it. Sir, fine, sir. I have one more question. When is it announced? Okay, this could be the next question. When is it announced? See, every time these MSP, that is, how much is the price which the government intends to procure the food crops, it is announced at right before the sowing season. It is announced right before the sowing season. Okay. So, for example, let's say there is a Kharif crop. What do we understand by Kharif crops? Kharif crops are those crops which are grown in the monsoon. Okay. So, monsoon months are June, July, August, and September. If any crop is growing during this season, we call this as a Kharif crop. So, when is it announced? It is announced in the month of May. Okay, it is announced in the month of May. So, now I think you get the idea of how all of this goes. Now, let me give you another small example. Okay, so imagine a Rabi crop, like let's say wheat. Okay, so when we are talking of wheat, what do we understand by Rabi crops first of all? These are the crops which are generally grown during winter rains. Okay, so it is basically during October, November, December, and January. So October, November, December, January, we have Rabi crops. So when is the MSP announced? It is announced during before the sowing season. So before the sowing season, as in It is going to be announced in September. Okay, so I hope that now you have some clarity as to when it is announced. Okay, sir, is it only announced for rice, or is it for every crop? That can be the next question. So for that, I would say that no, it is not for every crop. Okay, every crop does not have the luxury of MSP. Government does not guarantee a minimum support price for every crop. Fine, sir, we understood that it does not guarantee for every crop. But what are the crops it guarantees? See, there are 22 notified agricultural commodities or agricultural crops which the MSP is guaranteeing. In that 22, there are 14 kharif crops. So what are these 14 kharif crops? The first one is paddy, very important. Second is jowar. Third one is bajra. Fourth is ragi. Okay, and fifth one is maize. Then you have tur dal, moong dal, urad dal, groundnut, sunflower, soya bean, and sesame seed, niger seed. Then you have cotton. Okay, so this is the last one and the 14 kharif crops. But there are 22 notified agricultural commodities, no? So what about the others? See, there are 6 rabi crops. So 14 kharif crops, 6 rabi crops. What are these 6 rabi crops? The first one is wheat. Second one, barley. Third one is gram. Fourth one is masoor. Masoor basically means lentils, the what we use generally in a sambar. And rapeseed. Rapeseed is basically mustard. And then the last one is you have safflower. So what is 14 plus 6? 14 plus 6 is 20. But there are 22 notified agricultural crops. So which brings us to the next question. Sir, what are those last two? We have kharif crops, we have seen rabi crops. What is that last two? The last two is commercial agricultural crops. Okay, so there are two commercial agricultural crops. The first one is called as copra. Second one is jute. Okay, so copra and jute, very, very important. So in this, toria and dehusked, okay, dehusked coconut. So dehusked coconut are these things, what we generally use in front of the temples and, usually used for cooking. So toria and dehusked coconut are fixed on MSP of rapeseed and mustard, okay, and copra respectively. So what is this? This is nothing but mustard. Okay, mustard is the thing where you would have seen in Shah Rukh Khan movies where the heroine goes on running in a chiffon sari. That is usually those yellow color flowers are all mustard seeds. Okay, and mustard flowers. So basically oil seeds. So it is used to make oil. Okay, sarso ka tel. Then another thing which you can usually get confused is in MSP they usually include sugarcane also, but sugarcane is different. It comes under something called as FRP. So what is this FRP? It is called as fair and remunerative price. So the main difference between MSP and FRP is that MSP is a price which the government procures directly, and FRP is a price which basically the sugarcane mill, it's an indicative price basically. So sugarcane mill owners should likely try to purchase in this particular fair and remunerative price, so that the sugarcane growers, they get a fair remuneration for selling their sugarcane to the sugarcane mill owners. Okay, but MSP, the farmer directly gets it from the government. So that is the main difference between MSP and FRP. Okay, fine, sir. All of this is fine. Who fixes the MSP and who recommends it? So this can be a next question. See, who fixes it? Under Ministry of Agriculture. Under Ministry of Agriculture, there is something called as CACP. Okay, so CACP means it's called as Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices. Okay, I'll just repeat this again. Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices. So is this the body which fixes it, sir? Okay, so you might get this question. Is this CACP the one which fixes it? No, it is not the body which fixes it. In fact, CACP is a commission. It's a commission means you have to understand they will go, they will do their research, they will do reports and everything, and they will give one recommendation. They will recommend to whom? They will recommend to somebody called as CCEA. CCEA is called as Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. So this Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, based on the recommendation of the CACP, okay, will fix the MSP. Okay, this fixes the MSP. You have to understand. Sir, that's all fine, but who heads the CCEA? Who heads the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs? It is the Prime Minister who heads. It is Narendra Modi ji who heads the Cabinet Committee of Economic Affairs right now. Okay, so it is headed by the PM himself, the Honorable Prime Minister. Okay, so all of this is fine. Next, another doubt which will come is, what is the MSP formula? How is MSP arrived in the first place? So that can also be a very interesting question. See, MSP is announced or it is arrived at something called as cost of production. Okay, so it is arrived at cost of production. But cost of production of what? Cost of production of rice, cost of production of pulses, cost of production of oil seeds, cost of production of so many other commercial crops. So it goes on like this. Basically, the cost of production. But sir, how do we know what is the cost of production? Is there some quantitative metric to determine this? What is the formula to determine this? Please tell us that. See, there is a formula, okay, in which they usually calculate, or they used to calculate this at least. It was called as A2. Okay, so A2 basically means input cost. So what do we understand by input cost? It is the cost which the farmer bears for his inputs. What do we understand by inputs? See, it could be seeds, it could be fertilizers, it could be pesticides, it could be herbicides. All of these are input costs. Okay, so along with this, there is also something called as labor cost. Okay, so labor cost is nothing but wages or salaries which the people who are working in the field have to be paid. So if you add the input cost and if you add the labor cost, okay, so this is generally what used to be calculated. And then there was something called as A2 plus FL. Okay, but sir, what is this A2 plus FL? You can ask. A2 you guys already know by the above thing which is given, that is nothing but input cost plus labor cost. This you already know. But along with this, you have a new thing called as FL. What is FL now? FL is very simple. It is nothing but unpaid family labor. Okay, like for example, I have already told you that imagine Tejas is a farmer. Now, if I am working in my farm, will my wife not be a part of working in the farm? She will be part of the working in the farm. Will my parents not work in the farm? They will also work to how much ever strength they have. Will my children not work in the same kind of farm? They will also work. But will I pay all of them salary? Will I pay my parents? Will I pay my wife? Will I pay my children salary for working in the same field? No, it is not paid. So this is what is considered as unpaid family labor. Okay, unpaid family labor. So this along with this, okay, that is something called as A2 plus FL. So here for a very long time, okay, they used to consider A2 plus FL only. Even today when MSP is announced, it is mainly A2 plus FL. But right now, farmers are making this demand. What are the farmers making? They are telling, sir, you please give us in the formula of C2 formula, not A2 formula. Please give us C2 formula. But what is this C2? Okay, you might get this doubt. See, C2 is nothing but A2, which you already know. Okay, A2 basically means input cost plus labor cost. and plus FL. FL is unpaid family labor, plus rental cost. Rental cost means if there will be a situation where the land which I am working for might be a rented property, I have to factor in that particular thing also while I am declaring MSP. There might be a case where I have taken a loan and I am paying interest on the borrowings. So the interest also has to be factored in, the interest percentage on the borrowings. So when all of this is taken into consideration, then you arrive at this formula of C2, right? So when we have this MSP, it is nothing but A2 plus FL. Okay, A2 plus FL. So this is what today, okay, currently, this is what the government is still giving. In fact, as a matter of principle and as a matter of custom, what the government is doing from 2018-19 budget is that they have announced that from now onwards, whatever be the A2 plus FL, okay, whatever be the A2 plus FL, we will give you 1.5 times of that particular amount. Okay, 1.5 times that particular amount, A2 plus FL. Like for example, if the MSP of a particular agricultural commodity comes out to be 20 rupees, what is 1.5 times of that? It will be 30 rupees. Okay, so this is the thing. So here, farmers, they are demanding 1.5 C2. Okay, so they are not just demanding 1.5 A2 plus C2, okay, which is what the government is already giving them. The government is already giving them A2 plus FL, and they are not demanding this. They are demanding 1.5 times of C2. C2 means A2 plus FL plus the rental cost plus the interest on borrowings. So very elaborate formula here, right? So all of this might bring us to the question that, sir, MSP, there is so much of hangama on this. There's so much of, importance given to this. So does it even have a legal backing? That can be a question. See, MSP as such does not have a legal backing. Okay, no legal backing. So it is not a statutory body. There is no legal backing to this. Okay, and if the PM wants, tomorrow it can be cancelled. That is what it means, that there is no legal backing. It is just established by an executive order. Okay, there is nothing that it should continue or anything like that. It is just established as an executive order. In fact, you might have been familiar with what has happened with the farm laws. There were 3 farm laws which were introduced. Okay, then later on, because of a lot of protests, it was revoked. It was cancelled. Now, one of the prominent main reasons why it was cancelled was mainly because there was no MSP. Okay, there was no mention of MSP for farmers. Okay, so the farmers got scared because of this particular law. That is why there was a lot of hue and cry that these farm laws should never be introduced. Okay, anyways, all the farmers, they got together, protested in front of Delhi, and that episode happened where finally it was revoked. So you see how much of a political suicide it can be to anyways touch this MSP. Right now it's become like one ticking time bomb. Okay, so all of this has happened, and these are all the details of MSP. Even recently in the Kharif season which was announced, even recently also, the revenue or the prices of the MSP were increased. Okay, so compared to the last time, the prices were increased. It is in lines with the demand which the farmers have placed. What is the demand of the farmers? Government, you please adopt C2 formula. That is the demand. Okay, so I think that right now, after hearing all of this, MSP is no longer a difficult topic. Aram se you can understand this. And if that is the thought, then my purpose is served. right? So with this, I will leave you all here. Keep watching iLead, and if you have not already done this, subscribe to our channel. I'll see you all in the next episode. Until then, thank you and bye bye.